Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Well, I'm here. Where is he? Where is he?
I'm here. Look, I'm still here. I am still here. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Mr. C.S. Lewis. Sorry, have I pushed it too far?
Do you know, I think at the risk of alienating people that can't see me, but I'm guessing people will have guessed what you're referencing there. But yeah, we may be approaching overdone now on the wardrobe gags.
Okay.
Right. So yes, I'm still in Narnia. Yes, I'm back in front of the wardrobe. I'm still in digs because I'm still on tour. But we'll gloss over that for future ones because there's going to be a couple more probably from here. But for now, yes, I'm still here. I'm still on tour. And you are, well, where you're supposed to be, really, on the Sofa of Dreams. How's things going, mate? You all right?
My friend. Yeah, I'm very good. How are rehearsals going, mate?
Really well, really well. I mean, heavy going, fairly heavy subject matter. We've sort of been through that before. And obviously we were lucky enough to speak to Simon, the director, last week, who sort of revealed a bit more about the project and how the subject matter is fairly deep and important and educational, etc., etc. But yeah, really good, amazing team of performers. And just, yeah, really looking forward to getting to performances. So obviously this isn't Sunday now that we're recording, but as of Sunday, when people will be watching or listening to this for the first time, it will be the evening before the day of our first performance. So yeah, brilliant. So future me would be a bit more at this point, but it's all right because I'm current me or past me. If you're watching, I'm doing the thing again where I go, Let's move away from repetition and repeat kind of mentalness. Not that I can do that, but anyway. So yeah, rehearsals. Short answer. Good, thanks, mate. Yeah, lovely.
Excellent. Well, that's good. Well, whilst we were on air or not on air or not live last week, I was actually I've been doing. We opened the puppet show. We did our six performances through the day. So and that was really, really good. We had great fun. Some lovely audience.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, it was really.
Saw a few clips and bits and pieces of the characters and stuff for promo stuff, and it looked excellent. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to come along and watch, although it might have been weird with me stood at the back of a children's show. Odd. But yes, no, I've obviously been otherwise indisposed. But yeah, no, I'm really glad it went well, and it looked like it was a really successful show.
Yeah, it was. It was great fun to do, and it was lovely to see people come back again that have been to previous events and have promised to come to the next few events. So it's really nice. It just shows how, when you take work out to people. In my case, they were shows for children. In our case, and what you're doing, and we're talking to your esteemed director last week, Simon, saying this is really important work. It gets hold of people and taking theatre and performances to places where people wouldn't normally expect a performance. It's interesting stuff. It really is. It shows how important it is, which we said in the past, but how rewarding it is.
Yeah, equally.
A lot of hard work. You're working hard, and we with the prep and the work up to the puppet show was. But yeah, really, really good fun. So loved it.
I guess the other thing it does, and it's something that I've sort of meant to talk about for a while, or at least bring up as a subject, is it in the show I'm doing, I play multiple characters. I play one main character, Steve, who is one of the four lead dads in the story. But when we're telling the individual stories of each of the dads, those who aren't the main focal point make up all the other characters. And as you say, it's a very rewarding experience. It's very important to get these messages out there. But looking at it from a performer's perspective, it's quite a challenge, but equally quite rewarding to use versatility and use skill for want of a better term, to keep that variety in there for the different characters. So, for example, each of the 4 or 5 of us in the show that I'm doing has to play multiple genders, multiple age ranges, multiple dialects, well, not dialects, but accents. So it's, I mean, we've talked before about the ability to play different characters going from one show to another. We've talked about how you change from performing for film to performing on a stage. But actually, I think this, and I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here because it's not just me doing it, and lots of people do it in various different ways. But I think this particular challenge is extra sort of heightened because that swap from one character or one style or one level to another is almost instantaneous. It's not like, well, I finished filming today, I'm doing theatre next week, so I've got a week to prepare for my next character. And it's just, yeah, it's something that I think it'd be interesting to talk about, because, well, number one, I'd like to know how you go about it, because I know you have to do it a lot. I mean, in this show you've just done, you have to change different characters with slightly different voices, albeit it's mainly puppetry, so you don't necessarily see a different visual version of yourself. It'll be a different puppet with your voice. But do you address things slightly differently? Because I've had to think really about multi-rolling, but I think it's a very niche skill in a way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's interesting because you mentioned film, because I think I've not done it on film. I've only done it on stage. And as you say, that's a very immediate thing because the audience have seen you play a character. They've seen you play, John. John leaves, and John's a certain age and a certain look and a certain sound. And with a costume change and maybe a slight makeup change or, a vocal change, you bring another character. And I think if you do it well enough, and one hopes one does, the audience are on your side. They go, okay, great. We're looking at, now that's no longer John. This is, this is his dad or someone like that, which I have done that on stage. I played my own father on stage, or my own son, depending which way you look at it. But I think audiences really enjoy that because they love seeing actors being versatile, and they love that change and they love the challenge. But it's interesting, you do that, as you say, that's immediate on stage. But if you do it in film, and there have been many actors that have done it, and we'll chat about them in a minute, but that isn't, I don't think that's as big a demand in a way, because you may be filming that on a different day, and you've got the makeup to help you, and there's a break there. You haven't got to necessarily, you've got to make it look, you leave the room as one person, you come back in as another, or in many instances you're talking on film, you can talk to yourself. I mean, famously, Tom Hardy did it when he played the Craze. Yes. Which was, I mean, A, it was brilliantly filmed, and B, fabulous performances. And that's been done many, many times. But he had the age, I mean, then you're looking at technology helping you, of course. But if you do it on stage, I think there's a big challenge. Like you're doing it at the moment. I mean, I love doing it because I like the idea of the challenge of acting, and also you're not just playing the same part. You get to play 2, 3, maybe more roles within one production. And I mean, famously, there was the Stones in Their Pockets, where the 2 guys play 30 odd characters. Yeah. Sometimes with just a change of a hat or a scarf or something. It's brilliant. I love watching actors do it. Do you have the benefit of costume changes or a period of time, or are you literally stepping in and out and, without giving too much away?
Well, I mean, I won't completely reveal, just in case some people do fancy a trip to come and see one of the shows. Or equally, there is going to be a live stream. Again, don't have the details of that yet, but once it's there, if people want to watch it, more than welcome to. But so it's a little bit black box theatre, the way it's been put together. So we don't have costume other than we're all wearing black hoodie, and underneath our hoodie is a black t-shirt with the name of our main character on. So while we're playing the main character, you can see our name displayed. All other characters, the hoodie's just back on. And whether that's hood up for certain things, hood down, or sleeves rolled, or whatever. But technically, yes, you could say there are costume changes in the sense, but we never actually wear a different piece of clothing. If that
right.
Yeah. So it's very much done on performance. And like you were saying, that numerous people have done it, in particular on film. I mean, the ones that probably jump to mind, or the one that jumps to mind for me, is James McAvoy, playing multiple, or a person with multiple personalities in the film
23
Split.
alter egos he played, didn't he?
Yeah, unbelievable.
23.
So it's how you look at it, because you're absolutely right. A lot of the time with film, stuff is spread out. So it could well have been with certain things that they go, right, we're going to do this character today and this character tomorrow and this. But as you say, over 20, I think it probably would have been a nightmare to just film those. And there are definitely some scenes where he jumps between. And he did an unbelievable job. And I think he's
incredible.
I was going to say he's underrated. I don't think he is, because I think people hugely appreciate how good he is. But I think perhaps he doesn't get as much of the plaudits as he should, because he's just a fabulous actor. He's done so many different things, and on stage as well. He did a lot in the West End, didn't he? He did a few plays over the last 5 or 6 years. And so he was amazing in that. But on stage, it's interesting, actually, and I don't think he mentioned it, but Simon, again, who we spoke to last week, director, he does a one-man Macbeth. And plays every single character in it. And I've not been lucky enough to see it yet, but some of the other cast members have, and they said it's absolutely phenomenal. So, I mean, if anyone's in contact with him, just ask him, get him to do his one-man Macbeth and go see it, because apparently it's superb. But again, another really challenging sort of multi-role and quick change, albeit not clothing change. He does use slight costume changes and things like that, but yeah, it is such a different element to it, and I'm not going to lie, it is obviously quite a challenge, and I do find it difficult at times. But I'm lucky that I've got the support of a decent team and the time to go over it and to work on it, and I've spent a lot of time sort of working that out. Intriguingly, I think it's almost like, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way in any way, but almost like stepping up an ensemble performer to a slightly higher level, in that there are also lead roles within those parts that we're doing. So any person, a member of the ensemble, or that's part of a musical, for example, will play lots and lots of different roles with costume changes and with things, but they tend to be like, I was going to say padding. Again, it sounds like I'm being really harsh, and I don't mean that at all. But they tend to be smaller roles within a scene, just to keep a scene sort of moving most of the time. It's very rare, but not unheard of, that you would play multiple lead roles in the same production on stage. But this is an opportunity that I get to do that, and that others in this cast do. And I think it's something, as you say, audiences hugely appreciate. They very much enjoy it, because they get to see you being different and showing off. Is that right? I guess, yeah, showing off your versatility.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other benefit as well is, I mean, when I did Fighting Irish a year or so ago now, and we all had one main character, and then there were other characters, and there were scenes where we all changed characters, so we were all a different set of people, and then that would go back, and then those worlds would collide. So that it was amazing, because you'd almost establish your main characters, and they were running through, and then there would be a scene where everyone is playing someone totally different.
Yeah.
So the audience have got to learn another set of characters, and then you go back to your main character, and then they would be shuffled, and then they're mixed up, and we know that was the main thing. We had to go. This is the clarity. We've all got to know how we would behave with those characters, and now we've got to know how we behave with these characters, and how these characters are all gonna, So there wasn't only the playing of the characters and creating very crystal clear, but also the relationships. And
absolutely.
So you were, in a way, you always had 4 ideas in your head, because you're going, I'm that character, relating to these people. I'm that character relating to these people, and now I've got to cross over now. So it was an interesting process, and I think that is the challenge. But it's also challenging for audiences. But it does mean that, you know, if you've got those multiple roles, you've got multiple characters that just flesh out a play. And I mean, sometimes a play or a piece will demand that you've got to have loads of characters. You've got to keep, they've all got to be there.
Yeah.
So if you decide to cut the number of people down, the number of casts down for whatever reason, but I think sometimes, you know, obviously you talk about Simon's one man Macbeth, but also that there have been plays where they've gone, okay, we're gonna do the whole of, I don't know, Vanity Fair on stage, which has got thousands of characters, and they just throw it all together, and then I think it's then you're looking as an audience, you're going, how are they going to do that? How are they going to do that? And the production answers those questions. Then you're in the realms of being really clever. I mean, for me, so I was going to say, but going back to talking about actors doing it on film, for me, the one that I think is the greatest performance, and it was Alec Guinness when in Kind Hearts and Coronets, where he played 8 characters of the same family, but he was aided by, you know, I think it's seen as one of the greatest, you know, multiple character roles. But he wore lots of makeup, and there were different characters, different sets, and it was very obvious. And each character you met along the line. So, and they were all killed off by the main protagonist. So they all died, whilst the protagonist gets to become, you know,
of course,
he was robbed of his inheritance. I mean, it's a wonderful film. I mean, given the fact it was 1949 when it was made, it still stands up today. It's hysterical, and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
Alec Guinness was brilliant.
Well, I mean, and I suppose you could mention, not quite in the same breath, and I'm not putting them on a par, certainly, but you look at the Nutty Professor films, Eddie Murphy, who played multiple people within the same family, and at the same time, albeit with technology doing it, but he had conversations between, so a similar sort of thing, and actually a good link between the two, between theatre and film. Obviously, well aware at the moment in the West End, we've got Mrs. Doubtfire, and I think I've not seen the show. I'd love to see it. I've not had the opportunity.
I would love to see it.
But when you think back to Robin Williams' performance in the film, I mean, absolutely unbelievable. Probably the best comic actor of all time, or certainly one that, like, it just stunning.
Oh, there will be letters, mate. But yeah, I
don't
mean,
care. That one I might stand behind. But
he was a genius.
Yeah.
He was a genius.
And he, as we say, was aided with technology, like didn't have to necessarily film bits at the same time. But I would very much imagine that there were times where, even if he wasn't playing both in the same day, he was certainly playing within the same week, looking at how filming schedules probably were and the amount of time and stuff. And so to jump between the two, and equally then there's this weird sort of inception of he was acting as someone else, and the audience had to sort of be in on it, but the people around him weren't. So it was great on a film front. God knows how they do it on stage.
I know.
I mean, unfortunately, couldn't tell you the name of the actor who's in the lead or any of the understudies for the role of Mrs. Doubtfire. So I hold my hands up and apologise for that. Should have looked him up, but must be one of the most phenomenal actors out there doing what he's doing at the moment. So, and
also, I mean, you talk about Robbie Williams being probably one of the greatest comic actors. Imagine having to follow that. I don't. Well, yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I mean, I'd have a go myself, but by God, that must be terrifying. And I hear,
honor, but equally, terrifying.
It's a poison chalice, isn't it? That's worse than being a manager of England. Let's face it. No one wants that job, but And
actually, I'm going to mention one more. So Back to the Future is currently in the West End, and there's also fairly recently, I think, end of June, July-ish, gone over on Broadway as well. To anyone that hasn't seen it, go. It's just phenomenal. I saw it twice because I thought it was so good. I almost immediately booked again. But the reason I bring it up is because, number one, you said about imagine trying to follow in their footsteps, and just think of the people that are in that, and then they've now had to bring that to stage. But equally, and it's very small, but Michael J. Fox plays his own sister, I think, is it the second? Is it Back to the Future 2?
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm pretty sure. And whether it's he also plays his own dad. And so, again, we're talking technology. I mean, they had all sorts of technology going on for them because they were trying to do all sorts of things where they just avoided bumping into each other and things. But he plays himself, his future self, his past self, his son. In that trilogy, he plays his own great uncle or great uncle or something like that.
Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah. So, but brilliant. Yeah. And but again, what an opportunity, and what a way to kind of almost show off your talents, to go, right, not only am I going to play a role, I'm going to play multiple roles at the same time, different ages, different genders, which again, in what I'm doing at the moment, I play multiple characters, including male and female, old and young. It's an opportunity to show off. Again, I use that term. It's not probably the right term, but equally so enjoyable. Like, just a really, really fun job, I guess.
I mean, going back when some of my first jobs were in weekly rep. Now, I wasn't. It wasn't obviously the same show. Well, there were a couple of shows where you played one or two characters, but I did 12 weeks of weekly rep, which is a show a week every week, and we were getting the audiences coming back and back and back every week just to see what you were doing. Yeah, and then we would talk to people in the bar and say, "Oh, last week you were the murderer. This week you got murdered. And what are you next week?" And you go, "I can't tell you what I am next week, but I'm not, spoiler alert." But that was doing it in one play as a microcosm, but audiences love it, and I think, and it does. There's the argument at the moment about, and we've discussed it about, whether you're allowed to play, a gay character if you're not gay, or we're allowed to play Irish if you're not Irish, and blah blah blah. For me, it's the job of an actor to act.
Exactly.
That's where I come from. When I did Fighting Irish, we most of the cast were English.
Yeah.
There were several people that were Irish, but they weren't Dubliners. They weren't So my character's from Dublin. I researched the character. I researched the accent. We had an accent coach on board. When I walked to the bar one night, I was asked by a lady, what part of Dublin I was from, which was an enormous compliment, and I said I'm from London. And I don't have as far as I know, I don't have an iota of Irish blood in me at all. I maybe do my DNA, but to walk out and that happened was enormously rewarding. And also I did say to people, well, how does that sit with you? And they're going, well, you played him really, really well, so why would that sit, oddly?
Yeah.
So sometimes the demands in a play, when you are playing those multiple roles, you don't have a chance to think. You can't think, well, because that character is gay, we've got to get a gay actor in or whatever. However you sit there politically, within a play, production-wise, that's not going to work. You've just got to ask, the actors to double and redouble.
Yeah, when you're limited cast members and high numbers of characters, you haven't got a choice but to spread it out and do whatever you need to do. And equally, that challenge is there and is often welcomed, and certainly has been in this case, and where you've done numerous things before. I mean, there are so many different examples. And I didn't get to see it, but Jodie Comer recently did. She got huge critical acclaim for I can't remember the name of the show. Can you remember?
I can't remember it. No, but I mean, which
again should have written that, but it just popped in my head then. But again, playing multiple characters and doing, and just the memory and the versatility and those sort of things, and they do get recognised, which is good. But it's just nice, I think, to have that opportunity and challenge as a performer, and the chance to do that doesn't come up very often. So
no,
I've certainly seized this one. Go on.
No, sorry. So you say you.
Yeah, I've seized it with both hands, and hopefully I'm doing it justice, and people that will come and see will go, well, yeah, it was worth you doing that.
And interestingly, what I was going to say is it's because of, putting shows on, taking theatre, getting it out there and going to places and working within the constraints of a budget.
Mm.
And also now, we've seen a lot of, when you look at the casting breakdowns come in and you apply for jobs and make submissions, you see the number of people in casts reduced because of the straitened times of the pandemic and Brexit and whatever. We are being asked, actors are being asked to act. And it's like, I like that. I love that idea. We are, and it's necessary, because you look at something and say, well, if we try and do this play with a cast of 20, it's not going to happen. But if we do this play with a cast of 6 and they double up, and that means using different accents and different, gender personalities or whatever way you want to put it, we can get the play on.
Yeah.
And we can take it out there. And it's not going to be, it's not going to be any less good because we will get good actors who are up for the challenge and relish the challenge. So I think that it's interesting that the two come up at the same time. We want actors to only play what they should be playing. Then theatre companies are going, no, we can't do that. We need actors who are going to play everything.
And just to almost not a caveat, but just to add to that, it's not through giving lack of opportunity. So what we're saying is not that, oh, well, you just play whatever because I choose it, but that the opportunity is being given to everyone. There's no sort of funneling down on the casting point. No one cares if how you identify or your sexual preference or anything like that at casting level. And casting, it's getting a lot better. We have seen some sort of issues with it over the years, but it's getting a lot better now, where it is certainly colorblind casting and gender blind casting. Unless something is a necessity and is justifiably a necessity, hopefully equal opportunities. And I've certainly seen quite a lot of it in the castings I've been to recently or productions I've been involved in, but those equal opportunities are going out. It just turns out this is the person that got that job because they were the best one for it. And we're looking beyond preferences or identifications or backgrounds or anything like that, which is where everything should be equal.
That's good. I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
But, and we've done another bit of a rabbit and gone in circles, haven't we? Really, mate. We do this fairly often, but I think we've sort of talked about some stuff that's quite relevant to our careers. We've both done quite a lot of it. Yeah,
it's relevant to us at this moment in time as well, which is nice to know.
And just a slight not off topic, but people may see in the news, and actually when this goes out there may be even more developments, but fingers crossed and touching wood and everything, it seems like there has been some sort of resolution or certainly some positive movement with regards to strikes, certainly in America. It looks like finally those that were causing the issues, and I'm certainly not talking about those on strike, obviously, might be going, actually, we're in the wrong. We need to pay people properly. We need to recognize this. We need to not rip people off and use their image and blah, blah, blah. It's a whole other conversation to go into it fully. But as it seems at the moment, it looks like, and by this point, it will have either been resolved, be sat at a stalemate, or have gone back the other way. So basically,
as you say, there are so many discussions to be had, aren't there? I mean, I think it's probably the weight of money. When you've got big series that are not being made, Netflix is going, how much have we got? All those huge. I mean, eventually money talks and money goes. Studios are going, we're losing far too much money. We'll have to think about this, and I would imagine the concessions they have to make or the money they have to pay is probably considerably less than what they are accumulating in losses at the moment, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I think probably the realization has won through in this case, and you can try and save face, but at the end of the day, you've got to go logically and work out what is most beneficial for all and financially beneficial. Because as we say, it is all money driven.
It's money. We are a commodity at the end of the day. You know what we do is, you know.
Yeah. So hopefully next time we speak. Or next time we're out on the air or whatever you want to call it, there will be some even more positive news, and we can start going, do you know what? Things are really resuming. I mean, I know in this country we've not had quite so much action, and it hasn't been quite so right at the forefront as it certainly has in the States. But it was a matter of time, and I think things will follow on. I think that they will have to.
Well, it's certainly affected, you know, English, you know, actors and European, you know, performers who haven't been able to work. You know, sitting there going, I can't work because the series is, you know. So it will have a knock. I mean, yeah, we haven't been on strike. Our writers haven't been on strike, but it's certainly, I think it's frightened a few people over here going, Christ, what if they did it over here? You know, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, but it's also, I think, quite a positive thing to show that we do hold some power as an industry and are willing, again, we're talking about looking at what's going on over in America, but are willing to stand up for what is right, to fight for what is fair, and to kind of, there seems to be a lot of public support as well, which is really good. People going, look, these people are right. I mean, we've got strikes over here at the moment from all different things: the NHS, the tube drivers, so many different teachers. And again, the public tend to be very much behind most of those groups because they're going. These people aren't on strike because they're greedy or because they've got nothing better to do. It's because they've seen it as a last resort to try and make people aware that this is not right. This needs dealing with. This needs addressing. And the same has been true for the writers and actors across the globe who have not been treated right either.
It's interesting because all those professions that you've mentioned are all seen as viable and useful. And it was only, and we discussed it many times, you know, when there were questions asked during the pandemic, when we were trying to get some form of help as performers, going, hang on a minute, we've been left here. It was going, yeah, but you're not viable. There was a whole thing as viable. Just proved now that the SAG-AFTRA thing has proved that you take it away, you take the workers away, which are the writers, which, you know, you take that basic thing away. We're not going to give you any scripts. None of you can work. None of you can watch anything. That's how viable we are. That's how much money you're going to lose and how much is going to be lost in the economy. Because, you know, the studios pump out vast, they're selling the product abroad, and just watching, American TV shows that we get over here. That makes an enormous amount of money, which means that, that wasn't happening. That worries people, and that's what's spoken. But it just goes to prove that we are viable and we bring money in.
Oh,
I've just got to say, talking of long-running television series, yes, American television series, yes, and British actors affected by long-running television series. I know it's a bit of a convoluted segue.
It's fine.
But one of my favourite long-running American series was NCIS. I know you're a big fan of some of those American. What's the one is Special Victims Unit? Yeah. I love all that stuff. NCIS. I mean, it's a long running series, 20 odd years. I'm sure I'm still missing some episodes. However, one of our, and I don't mean to bring it down on a very lovely episode, but the very lovely David McCullum, who was Donald Ducky Mallard in the series for 20 years, I don't know how the situation was with writing the series and whether he'd had time off because of, but he has passed away as the last remaining original member of NCIS from 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. But, and we talk of versatility. There was a man who was versatile, who was in some of the greatest NCIS 20 years. Started out as a young Ilya Kuryakin in Man from U.N.C.L.E. in 1960s, or one of his start outs. You know, he became very famous in that. I grew up that. I loved that with Robert Vaughan. You know, it was a brilliant.
Am I right in thinking he was in? Was it The Great Escape?
He was in The Great Escape. He was. Yes,
I knew the name.
Great. He got shot on the railway platform. As he ran down the platform and shot. Had a wonderful dramatic death on the railway lines. He was also in another German escape. He was in the television series Colditz as well. British television series. Yeah. So he was a man of very skilled actor and be sadly missed.
He must have been. Forgive me if you just said it. I didn't hear you say it, but he must have been quite elderly at this point then, because he
was 90. Bless his heart. He was 90.
And he was still doing NCIS before
it sort of stopped. Doing NCIS. Yeah.
Wow.
So no, we mentioned it in the past, the actors that die in the saddle, but I mean, he was incredible, a cracking actor as well.
Incredible. Really as you say, you don't want to bring it down, but I think it can be a positive to celebrate another career as an ending to this episode. So we can raise a
glass to Mr. McCullum.
Indeed, a fantastic actor and a brilliant career. A fantastic episode about our careers, although that sounds quite self-indulgent. But I think it was on tangents, and there was conversation in there that wasn't just about us.
Definite conversation in there, mate. Definitely.
Shall we leave it there until next week? And rather than conversation just being us, next week we'll bring in a guest, maybe someone to have a chat. I think we might.
I think our listeners and viewers deserve it. I do not think so.
They put up with
a little break from us too.
Yeah. Until then, mate, have a cracking week, and everyone at home, and see you next time. Oh, go on.
No, I was just going to say, good luck. By the time this goes out, good luck, buddy.
Thank you very much. I'll keep you all informed. Cheers, all. Have a great one.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.